Welcome to the Productive Introvert Community Podcast, helping ambitious introverts who feel deep down that they can add more value to the world to really thrive in their work. I'm Mariela Franker, and I'll be sharing what I'm learning as an introverted entrepreneur, a natural productivity coach, and a mom while I build my business online and take care of my family and myself. In this podcast, you'll learn the mindset and the practical steps to naturally increase the impact of your work while making space for your unique strengths as an introvert. So hello, it's Mariela. So I'm in my living room recording today, and this is actually the second time that I'm recording this episode. I just sat down actually to start editing before scheduling it to go out. And then I realized there was no sound, like nothing, not even a little beep. Something clearly went wrong with my recording the last time, so here we are again. So in this episode, I wanted to tell you how knowing more about energy management and the way that introverts manage their energy, how that has helped me also to guide my son in this big noisy world in a nutshell. And the day that I originally recorded this episode was when I took him to the local fair. So they have these fairs all over the Netherlands. It's like a celebration at the end of summer, and they have them in different cities and villages. And the village next to where we live, they also had it. And I'd been away all day. And I came home at the end of the day, and my guys were already having dinner. We have dinner fairly early. And I thought, oh, wow, I passed the fair on the way home. And I thought, oh, he's going to love this. And I hadn't seen him all day, and I was all excited to, have a little quality time with my boy. So I thought, I'll just take him over just for an hour, and we'll just go on a ride or something. It'll be super fun. So we went off, and it was fun. There was so much going on, and for a little boy, a 3-year-old, you could just literally see his mind being blown. And we went into the spinning teacups. He actually wanted to go into like the really daredevil rides, but he's too young, so he has to wait for that a little bit. But yeah, we had some churros. It was great. And then just when I thought, okay, now it's enough, we're going to go home, we're just going to shower and go to bed, it started to pour rain, like buckets and buckets of rain. And we hid under one of these, under one of the stalls, waiting for it to pass. And it wasn't really going. So, and this is just very normal in the Netherlands. It can be summer one moment and like the middle of autumn the next moment. Luckily, we had our jackets on, but he was wearing his shorts because he refused to put on other pants when we left the house because it was sunny when we left. Well, they're lesson number 1 in the Netherlands. So finally, we just left, and he was freezing cold by the time we got home. Of course, because he was in his shorts. And immediately when he got back, that fun little trip, it just flipped. The whole thing became one screaming, sad mess. And so this is about a moment when you start feeling like a bad parent, right? Because I realized he got overstimulated. I knew I had to just focus, get him into bed because he's just done for the day. And I misinterpreted the situation. I thought this would be a fun trip, but it was just too much at the end of the day. So I was sitting with him in the bathtub, holding him like this, trying to warm him up with some warm water, just get him a little bit calm and relax, and then we'll go off to bed. Luckily, the rest of the night was fine, and once he fell asleep, it was okay. But I felt so exhausted after that, and a little bit, sad that this happened, that I let this happen. So if you've ever felt like a horrible parent when something like this happens, know that you're not alone. And you're not a bad parent. These things, they happen. It's very challenging to kind of not only do all the things, but also to care for this little human who, yeah, you kind of have to get to know this person, and at the same time they're dependent on you, and you have to make space for this new person in your life. He's 3 years old. It seems like quite a long time, but it's not really that much time to really know a person to the level that you're super, super comfortable living together all the time. This sounds a bit strange when I say it like this. But the thing that I realized is that these things used to happen quite often. And when he was a baby, we struggled so much with getting him to sleep. Not necessarily sleeping through the night, but actually the going to bed process. And I remember that he would just cry nonstop between 6 p.m. and like 9 or 10 p.m. And a friend of mine, when I told her about this, she was like, "Oh yeah, it's a witching hour. It's normal." And I was so like jarred by that, because to me I felt like this can't be normal. It's not normal for a human being to cry nonstop for like 3 hours at a time. Something is not quite right if that happens on a regular basis. And then when he started going to daycare, there were times when he would come home, you could notice that he had been actually overstimulated during the day. Going to bed was also tougher on those days. He would wake up in the night, nightmare situations. And at some point, he even started to become a bit aggressive towards other kids in the daycare. And that's really when it was like huge red flag, something's not going right. And I at some point realized or thought it might be overstimulation. You know, that could be one of the things that's going on. Because I know for me that when I get overstimulated, I also have a hard time sleeping. I wake up in the night with all these thoughts in my head and I get quite irritable, you know? When you can't find that quiet time during the day and you're constantly being bombarded by other people's presence and energies, it can be a lot when you're a sensitive person or when you're an introvert. So that was one of the things that I thought could be going on. And we really then started to work with the daycare, and they were so great working with us on this and giving him space. So I explained to them, you know, why don't we just try giving him some quiet time during the day? And initially they were a bit hesitant because I think they felt like they were excluding him by taking him away from the other kids, especially because he is the type who really likes to be around people. He is a people person. He's quite concerned and caring towards other people. So they felt it kind of awkward to take him out of the group. But I pressed on it a little bit and told him, you know, just put him on a little blanket with some soft toys or something and just leave him there. Leave him there for maybe 10 minutes or so. Let's just try it. And especially as he got older, and once we started trying that, they gave us feedback at some point, and they said it really, really works. It really has a positive impact on him. And when he got a bit older, I also started explaining it to him. You know, there were days that he didn't want to go to the daycare, and you could feel this resistance. And I started just kind of talking to him about it. You know, sometimes it's very busy, right, at the daycare. There's like 10, 12 kids in a group sometimes. And I would tell him, you know, mommy sometimes also doesn't want to be around too many people at the same time. So if you feel like it's getting a bit too much, you can always just go and play by yourself. You know, take a little toy or a book or whatever you want and just sit by yourself. And you can tell the teacher, you know, I want to play by myself. Or if other kids come to you, you can also just tell them, I want to play by myself for a while. And then just go off to a different part of the room that's a bit quiet. And as we started doing that, and he also started doing it himself at the age of like 2.5, which is amazing because I had no idea if I would be able to explain that to him at that age, if he would be able to understand. I just tried anyway. And the teachers at the daycare, they started noticing it, and they said, oh, it's amazing. He just goes off by himself, and when he's ready, he comes back and joins the group. And it started to improve very quickly. And now they tell us, oh, he's such a calm person in a group. He's not quite like swept up in all the excitement when something happens in the group. He's very sociable with the other kids. So it was really like beautiful to see that change, and to notice that at such a young age, he's now 3.5, that he was already able to kind of pick that up and to create that space for himself. It made me realize that when you know more about energy management and how to manage your energy as an introvert, how that has helped me to also guide my son in this particular challenge, because it can be challenging, right? The world is becoming increasingly noisy in a sense, and this younger generation, they spend half their life online, so it's not something that I'm particularly used to. And the online world can be even more noisy than our everyday life, and it never sleeps. So we kind of need different skills to navigate this new world that we're living in, especially our kids, who will have a different experience with that than we have. So our son is sensitive and introverted. He's actually quite, at this age, has a similar personality to me. That may change, who knows? But the flip side can also be if you're an introverted parent with a more extroverted child, how to navigate those different energies. That's where having knowledge about energy management, and that introverts have to manage their energy in a different way, can be very helpful to still be able to give your best to your family, but without burning yourself up in the process. So if you want some help, if you want to know more about how to manage your energy as an introvert, maybe for yourself, or if you want to give guidance to your kids around this subject, get in contact with me. We can schedule an exploration call to talk about your questions and see if there is something that I can do to help. And I'll leave the link to that form in the description or in my bio, wherever you're finding this video. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful flow today, and let's talk again next week. Thank you for listening to the Productive Introvert Community Podcast. If you're an introverted entrepreneur and you're ready to thrive in your own way, then connect with me on thefrankermessage.com/contact.